one thing I can say about your chairman, I'm not going to get into his resume, you know about it. Dave Carmichael is a kind man. He's a real kind man. And you meet people sometime, you think they're nice, and generally they're nice. This man lives it. And what he has done for this county is truly from a kind servant heart. I give you Dave Carmichael.
The last time I checked, I'm not supposed to be up here by myself this year. So we got some chairs to fill. Come on up. So as we get started here, I also want to thank Brown and Caldwell for Happy Hog is one of my favorites, so really enjoyed that. And I'd like to thank the Secretary of State for taking his valuable time to come out and visit Paulding County. It's a pleasure to be with you on this 75th anniversary of D-Day and to provide you with the state of the county along with the rest of the team here. Yesterday morning, there was a group of 5 out of a total group of 15 that were walking in the Arlington Cemetery as we were finishing up our Washington fly-in. And we walked up to the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier and watched the changing of the guard and enjoyed that very much. And, you know, you're kind of taken back to see all those tombstones, all those grave markers. And then we walked down to the JFK monument where they have the eternal flame. And on the monument, there's engraved a lot of President Kennedy's sayings. There was one that I read, and I really was not familiar with it, and I wanted to share it with you. May we never forget, in the long history of the world, only a few generations have been granted the role of defending freedom in its hour of maximum danger. I do not shrink from the responsibility. I personally find this is a quote that each of us in the room in your positions of leadership about not shrinking from responsibility is something that we can apply daily. The fly-in was a tremendous success, great weather. We got to see Senators Isaacson and Perdue, Representative Graves, and Loudermilk, and you know, you're sitting this close, me and Joseph and the rest of the team there, eyeball to eyeball, and you tell them about our celebrations and our issues, our challenges, and it's just so worthwhile. Stacy and Shelba did a magnificent job in putting this together. Greystone was there with us, along with Wellstar and Georgia Power. So we just had a good group to be able to connect with our representatives at that level. If you've never been, make your plans to go next year. You'll be pleased that you did. All of us are glad to present the state of the county, and I'm personally very happy to share the stage this year and the microphone with the rest of the Board of Commissioners team. Each of us is going to share a part of what's happening in Paulding County, and we hope that collectively, when you leave today, you'll know more what's up in Paulding County. I want to shout out to the fact that we have our very own Switzerland, and he's County Administrator Frank Baker. I call him Baker Street. He's the most neutral and unbiased man and leader that I've ever worked with, and I've worked with a lot of good men. Invaluable part of the team. So salute to Frank as we get started here. Extreme pleasure to work with the other men, and I'll tell you something about Mr. Hart here shortly. And one lady. Isn't it great to have a lady on the board? Just bring an extra dimension, and all of them bring the spirit, the Team Paulding spirit, and have worked diligently for 5 months together, considering numerous issues. We've been greatly aided, supported, and guided by our county attorney, Jason Phillips, and salute you also, Jason, for your leadership and for Tally Richardson Cable sharing him with us. So before I jump into my part of the program, I just want to extend a gratitude to our extended team, Team Paulding, the department heads. They are the apple of my eye. They get the work done. I would draw attention to the placemats that are on your table, and you can take that home and read the back, and we'll test you at our next meeting. But they're involved in a lot of great projects. There are 18 department heads, and they collaborate together on numerous projects. And it requires mature leadership and positive coordination to get all the things done that they get done. Now, my main task at this time of the year is the chairman's budget, which was actually published 3 days ago. Nobody's thrown a rotten tomato at me yet. So. But I would really prefer to call it the fiscal year 2020 first draft to the budget, because we will all work together to tweak it and to adjust it until we finally vote on a budget in the month of August. I proposed a millage rate for fiscal year 2020 of 6.5 mills, which will address the personnel needs to maintain the level of service that is warranted by a population of 165,000 people now. In the last decade, really just 8 years, started in 2010, 22,500 additional residents have moved into Paulding County, and just in 2018, 4,500 just in that 1 year. For me to undercut the 6.5 millage rate and not add law enforcement officers, firefighters, marshals, 911 personnel would be to compromise safety. So we're also breaking ground on a new fire station out at Wayside Lane. It'll be fire station number 12, and the people out there, their insurance rates will go down some. Their response time from the fire department will be much shorter. Be aware that 65% of our budget is tied directly to service, different kinds of service. And we are a service-oriented, committed group of government employees. So check out the services on the slide. I certainly don't know if you can see it back there in the back. But that's just a partial list. Which one of those would you like us to do without? 6.5 mills will make us, that is Paulding County, the third lowest M&O, that's maintenance and operations budget, the third lowest of the 10 surrounding counties. The M&O property tax on a $200,000 home will be a little bit less than $500 a year, or $10 a week, or the cost of a movie ticket. The most significant challenge in Paulding County is not the millage rate. The biggest problem in Paulding County is the tax revenue imbalance, out of balance. The archery target on the screen, or I brought one over here, depicts how our out of balance tax revenue situation is. Since our commercial industrial portion is only 12%, the yellow, the remaining tax revenue must come from property tax, 88% in the case of Paulding County. I think 88% is outrageously high, and I think the board agrees. That is why we talk a lot about economic development. It's going to take successful development of our businesses, manufacturing, and industrial base to fix this problem. To bring some of the commuters back into Paulding County, to bring some of my grandchildren back in Paulding County to work, hopefully. So really all you need to know is took that one down, you might back it up, is the red and the yellow. The yellow is the commercial industrial, the red is the property tax, and we want our red to be smaller and our yellow to be larger. You can see the other counties nearby. I'm not going to take time to compare. The one to the west has over twice the commercial industrial than we have. So the summary is our Paulding County tax base is just way too heavily weighted to the citizen homeowner and business owners also. But so what's the solution? What are we doing about it? Well, we must aggressively recruit and attract companies, manufacturing and business, to reduce the residential load. We, as a unified board, are working in that direction. We will soon welcome an experienced PCED, that's Paulding County Economic Development Incorporated Director. The advertisements are out right now. We are seeking also a tourism director that will capitalize on the Silver Comet Trail and other tourism attractions and tourism events. Spurred by the Chamber of Commerce, numerous small businesses have opened in the last few months. Ribbon cuttings are fun, aren't they? It represents balancing this out-of-balance tax pie that we have. Now we have bigger wins that you may already know about, but some of you may not. Interroll is adding 125,000 square feet there in Commerce Park. 5,000 square feet of that will be for office space, and they are making Paulding County their national headquarters and adding a lot of new employees. So glad that Greystone will soon break ground also. It's July the 11th. We'll be doing that groundbreaking. And their headquarters is going to be there at Highway 92 and Ridge Road. And the board and the staff are working to provide infrastructure there at 92 and Bill Cruz Parkway. And then we can spur out from there as other opportunities come up. So Greystone will have sewer coverage along with some other entities. Of course, y'all know about the Aviation Maintenance School. I could not be up here with it and talk about that. It's very exciting. I'm very grateful to the board members at the state level who made that their battlefield, and there could have been several times where we lost it, but they held on to it for us. And the governor flew out here and announced it, so it's exciting times. There'll be many instructors. There'll be twice the size of any other maintenance school in the state. And instructors, hopefully they'll bring their families out here, and of course they'll be spending money and, again, helping out with that tax imbalance. The Board of Commissioners last year purchased 112 acres of primitive Paulding County land out in the Raccoon Creek area. If you have never hiked out there, I encourage you to get out there. It's beautiful. And we'll probably build an education center coordinating with Kennesaw State University and West Georgia College, Reinhardt, and some other colleges that go there for biological studies. So that's a neat thing. We'll probably also have some friendly overnight cabins, kind of rustic, and that will spike tourism, we hope. So we're certainly going to move forward in that direction. I wouldn't want to leave out Swirl Productions. They're a highly successful production operation for movies and television at our Atlanta film studio, and they are about to close any day now, right, Robert? Hey! Yeah, Robert's done so much work on that, and just very grateful to him. We're still courting Costco. There's been some snags, but we're working as hard as we can to make that happen. We have spoken about the potential of an aviation museum out at our airport, and we'll just see how that goes, but that would also spur tourism. As you know, part of recruitment and of commercial and industrial challenges, part of that is the infrastructure shortfall. Got to have more sewer, got to have broadband, got to have more traffic mobility to be attractive. And then, although you got to put some money up front, like we have at Ridge Road and Baker's Bridge Road, already making that commitment to turn around and make that investment, give a good return on investment to the county. So we are getting there. We are working together as a team to strategically build Paulding County assets and to enhance infrastructure. And now let me ask you to give your attention to Post 1 Commissioner Ron Davis, who will share his favorite accomplishments and projects.
Thank you, Dave. First, I just want to say thank you to Dave for sharing this stage. I think this is the first time that the chairman has shared the stage with the board, and I think it's a good thing. We talk about teamwork and we talk about team holding, and I think this is a good example. The other nice thing about it is if you don't like one of us, you just have to wait a couple minutes and then somebody else will come up and talk. So that's applause isn't needed there. I don't know who's clapping. Okay. So I want to talk about three things real quick, and as we get going, and then I'm going to hand it off to Sandy. But the first is we want to talk about roads, specifically around Post 1. There are 4 roads that we pull our attention to. One is Highway 278 that runs through Hiram. There will be, I think Dave's going to mention it here in a minute. We talk about a traffic study, so I won't steal that thunder. But as we talk about economic development, we look at the areas that we expect businesses to come in and utilize. And there's some parts of 278 there, Hiram going towards the Cobb line, and then also back towards the city of Dallas especially, that we think will be a good, attractive area for businesses. We also look at Highway 92. You all know that the state is widening Highway 92. It's desperately needed, and we're very appreciative of the folks in the General Assembly who've been pushing that, as well as the state DOT has been very helpful to us with that. It'll be 6 lanes going from Bill Caruth's south to Douglasville, and then 4 lanes heading north from that. And it's a long-term project, but in the near term, we expect economic development. Dave alluded to it just a minute ago, down in that area, so the board is focused to get some good infrastructure as we plan for where we expect businesses can be. And so that will be a good area to start with. I expect the economic development will continue to follow the widening of that highway. And of course, that's the first part. Highway 120, Charles Hardy Parkway between the county line and the hospital is ripe for development. There's a lot of good space there. We have a lot of companies that are looking in those areas. Dave mentioned Costco. Costco will be right in the middle of that. And so we're excited to see what's coming there. We want to prepare ahead of time and embrace ourselves for traffic. So we are working with the state on at least 2 different potential intersections for traffic studies to possibly add a traffic control mechanism to help keep that traffic flowing. One of the situations is you cross over into Cobb, you know, Lost Mountain is a busy intersection, and that one backs up. And I know the folks at Cobb are already working with the state DOT. When you have a state road like that, it really is a partnership with the state and all of the counties that the road touches. And so Cobb's working diligently with that. We're working, and the state DOT has been great. And then the last road, and it's a Post 1 road, and so I get to mention it, is Mackland Road. There are plans to widen Mackland Road to 4 lanes going from 120 back towards the Cobb line. And I don't have a current timeline on that. I know that the state is working very diligently, and George Jones, our DOT director, is working diligently with the state on that. As we move forward, next I want to talk about partnerships. And we had Dave mentioned Frank Baker, who's a hero to the board. He's a great man to have in the county working with us. When Frank was with the court system, he started ADAD, Alcohol and Drug Awareness Day. It was a partnership between the court system and the school system where they would get into the schools and give a program on the awareness, raising awareness for what your life addicted to drug and alcohol could potentially look like. And so there are speeches, and there's Ashley Henson sings at some of these. It's been fun to see. They have the canine demonstration. That officer with that canine, I inquired at one of these that I was attending, and he was more than quick to let me put on that sleeve and let that dog come after me. I don't know what to really think about that, Gary. But well, Gary says he wouldn't have given me the sleeve. I'm glad the guy gave me the sleeve. But it's a great program. When Frank came over to the board, he asked the board, he says, I want to continue doing this, and I want the board's support. And we think it is a great opportunity for elected bodies in the county to work together, separate boards. Obviously, the court system and the board of commissioners and the school board are separate functioning bodies, but we all can share in this task, and Frank's been a great leader in that. And so I'm happy to be able to have that be a part of what the board is working with. And finally, I just want to talk very briefly about the dynamics of the board. You all know we had a big change on the board in January, and I wanted to give mention to the dynamics on the board, and I think it's important that you hear that coming from me. I'll just address the elephant in the room that I wasn't necessarily a proponent of all the changes that happened, and we all know that. I sat down with the 3 new commissioners in November, and I gave them my word that I will work with you as much as you're willing to work with me, and I can tell you, and I'm very excited to report to you, that all 3 of these new commissioners are very eager to work together. They're very eager to work with me. Inclusion and teamwork is front and center with this board, and I'm happy to see that with the changes we're going forward. So that's what I have for you. Your couple of minutes of listening to me is over. Congratulations, and now I'd like to hand it over to Post 2 Commissioner Sandy Kaecher.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Sandy Kaecher, and I am very honored to have been elected as your first female commissioner in Paulding County. Since Chuck Hart isn't here today, I'm going to steal one of his sayings. And he would say, planting seeds for the future of Paulding so that our children of our county can live, work, and play if they choose to do so. That comes from Chuck Hart. We've been working on infrastructure, new viable businesses into Paulding, as well as helping out the existing businesses that are already here. And what I'm talking about is the Baker's Bridge road sewer project that we are getting ready to start. That's going to help our Kroger and the businesses surrounding it, as well as bringing new businesses into that area. There's not a lot going on right there, so this sewer system will help everybody. We all have projects going on in our post, and what I like to say most and brag about us all is that we're working together. It doesn't matter what post the projects are going on in. We all work together to make it the best project ever. And we do well that way. Like Ron said, we are working together to get things done. Upon the request of our Paulding County veterans, we moved the memorial from downtown Dallas over to Veterans Park, where it should be. We had a Memorial Day service out there, which our veterans and a lot of our citizens came out to celebrate that. It was a great day. Our veterans wanted it, and so that's what we did. We did the right thing, and we gave it to them. It was a great day out there, and thank you to, is Scott Green here? Thank you to Scott Green for getting it done so quickly. We were worried that it wouldn't be done. I had to throw that in because Scott hates to be recognized. We were afraid that it wouldn't be done in time for the Memorial Day service, but Scott did get it done. Okay, so I am Post 2 County Commissioner. Who has heard of Atlanta Northwest Airport in Paulding County? Anybody heard of it? Well, I'm happy to be in Post 2 so that we can get that airport going. We have decided as a county that we're going to go general aviation. We've got a new academy coming to the airport, which is going to, I think, build that area and build the airport. It's a stepping stone. As Chairman Carmichael said, we're looking at a museum. Don't know yet if it's coming, but I think that would spur a lot of business as well, and have something to take our kids from the schools out there for field trip day. I think that would be a great asset to the county as far as that goes. And I think they're looking forward to coming here. But we'll see. We're just in the beginnings of that. The academy, as I mentioned, Governor Deal graciously gave us $35 million to start this academy. With the help of all our representatives, Mr. Gullett, Mr. Momptahan. Is Kim Alexander here? Kim Alexander and Micah Gravely and others helped us get that push through. As the chairman said, we weren't sure if it was going through, but with their hard work and dedication, we did get it through. And Governor Kemp did sign off on it, and so we're just anxiously waiting for things to begin. I want to thank Terry Tibbetts. Is Terry here? No, Yolanda is. Thank you, Yolanda. They do such a great job out there with the STEM program for our kids. They are having a camp, a summer camp for aviation, starting next week, I believe. And I think that's another good thing for the airport. It's showing that we want to work to grow that airport and to grow it in the right way. So thank you, Yolanda, for that. They also, in case you guys didn't know, they do weddings, dances for junior high schools, any type of event. See Yolanda, she'll help you. And the facilities opportunity. If you guys have the opportunity and have not seen the airport, go out there. I'm sure Yolanda or Randy or even Terry would be more than happy to show you around. It's beautiful. It's one of the greatest assets we have here in Paulding County that we need to grow. So go out there and see it. There might be something that you could give us some thoughts on to let us help it grow. And I think that's it for me. I want to thank Chairman Dave Carmichael for everything that he does for us, for his support. Ron, what's your name? Ron, Brian.
I'll be Chuck today.
Okay. Ron, Brian, and Frank, thank you for all you do for us and all of our staff. We have the best staff in the world. Thank you, Paulding County.
Before I tell you a little bit about Chuck Hart's Post 3, I see some people that represent those folks in Washington that we just got back from seeing. I see Drew. Drew, were y'all not here when you were asked by? Oh, y'all were late. Okay, Travis. Why don't y'all go and stand up now and let this group know we really appreciate you being here. And Travis, all right. Beatrice. Beatrice, anybody else? Okay, we're just so glad that y'all would attend and spend your time with us. Chuck has got a tough and demanding job with the Southern Company, and so he just gave me a couple of pages to point out the things that he's most focused on. What he does with Southern Company, he's engaged in investigating external and internal issues with their legal department. Sound like fun, Jason? Also, human resources and all the local service centers. His duties also include proactive training with public safety, as well as company employees to support all these efforts. So, a couple of these things have already been mentioned. He shares three of the corners at Bakers Bridge Ridge Road. The other one is Sandy's, as she mentioned. So he wanted me to talk about a couple of things that solves. It solves a failing system, Can you believe Kroger's been on this multiple septic system forever? And they're one of the busiest Kroger's in the Atlanta area. It also consolidates a larger strategic sewer plan connecting the sewer infrastructure even over to the Greystone headquarters area I mentioned earlier in Highway 92. Is that pretty accurate, Lori? Close enough? Okay, well, anyway, we've mentioned infrastructure, and we're starting to get it all connected. And this also ties into that red and yellow, where commercial industrial opportunities will come about and correct that tax imbalance. He also mentioned, as Ron did, Ron has kind of one side of Highway 278, and Chuck has the other side. And there's been an efficiency study done. Any of y'all drive through Hiram? Just about any time of day, but rush hours are really challenging. So there's some solutions there. And if we had another hour, Scott could come up and tell you what those solutions are. Well, George is not here, is he? Where are you, George? Okay, he's just so low-key. I didn't know he was here. Yeah, George and Scott could come up together. I want to mention SPLOST dollars that'll be spent at Taylor Farm, improvements out there with improved bathrooms and picnic area and playground equipment and a new pavilion. All those are important things to family life and where your kids go. It's a great time on 4th of July out there with the fireworks. He wrote a whole paragraph on Hiram. Boykin, I don't know why he left y'all out, but he wrote this about Hiram. So I'm excited about Hiram and their commitment to business in the form of infrastructure. The mayor and the council are in the process of creating sewer solutions to most of the buildings in the downtown district and are incorporating language and agreements to secure future success in their businesses. Hiram has further passed an overlay district so that they can draw and retain good commercial retail opportunities. He wants to, in the area of employees, he wants to come up with more opportunities insurance-wise and in other areas so that we can draw and retain our employees and also draw new ones. He says he wants to make policy changes and provide better options. We'll ask him what that means. He's grateful. Final thing here, he's grateful to serve his lifelong community and the co-workers. So that's from Chuck Hart, Post 3 Commissioner, and I'm going to turn it over to Brian Stover.
Thank you, Dave. Mine's going to be more of an interactive speech. About every minute, you'll nudge the one beside you, keep you awake, because I know it's hard to stay awake after lunch. But I'd like to start off by saying how thankful I am to the folks at Post 4 for the opportunity to serve. As I look back at the last 5 months to see what we have accomplished, makes me very exciting to see what's on the horizon. One of the primary things I ran on was economic development. Of course, everybody says that, but it's the ones that do something about it. And I feel like Paulding County we are. So one thing that I've been working on is revamping of the EDO. And one of the issues I found, and I noticed as I was reviewing our current process, is that many of our zoning regs was out of date. And I felt that it was very important to start the process of updating them. And I know from the outside looking in, it seems to be the process of implementing this new economic development is dragging on, but I'm very proud to announce that we had our first board meeting just this morning. I'm confident that the new, which makes me excited to see what's in the future for Paulding. I'm confident that the new zoning regs will help streamline our process and will make us more attractive to any business looking for their next location. I could go on and on about economic development, but I want to take time and touch on a few projects that's going on in Post 4. The main one is a little fish pond being built up in Burnt Hickory. I think some of you may have heard of it called Richland Creek Reservoir. I'm so excited about this because until now, Paulding was the only county without its own independent water supply in the metro Atlanta area. which makes this very important for the future of Paulding. Paulding Water and Brown and Caldwell has done a great job keeping the people of Paulding up to date by offering tours of the facility at different stages of the build and having a website that people can go on for updates at rcrwater.com. The dam will be completed this fall, and at that time they will begin to fill the reservoir, which will take up to 12 months. This project is Paulding's largest to date, which is around $220 million, which is but estimated by the year of 2050 to have saved the citizens of Paulding around $100 million. As you know, Paulding has so much green space, which most of it is in Post 4. Thank you. And this next project I will talk about is Raccoon Creek Watershed. This project has so many educational opportunities for KSU and our local schools. Raccoon Creek is home to 43 native fish species and also home to the Etowah and Cherokee darter. Now, if you're a developer, you don't like them last two, but they're there. Just this past year, the county purchased 112 acres to further protect the watershed. We also removed the culvert at Raccoon Creek and replaced it with a bridge. It was preventing the fish passage. These efforts will enhance our natural assets, not just for the environment, but for education, tourism potential, and making Paulding a better place to enjoy and live. Moving on to our parks located in Post 4, just a few weeks ago, we had the grand opening of our alternative ball field at Burnt Hickory Park, which will provide people with special needs a great place to come and play ball. We're also currently looking at doing some improvements to High Shows Park, which is a waterfall located on High Shows Road off of Highway 61 North, which we are planning to add some parking, which should make it more accessible and allow more citizens to come and enjoy this beautiful asset. And the great thing about the ball field and the high shows is that we can use SPLOST to fund these projects. Excuse me. I'm glad we had been able to move the memorial monument a few weeks ago, as well as put up signs for Crowville community, which was one of our many hidden historical areas. Crowville had a general store and a post office, which operated from 1892 to 1908. I believe capturing and displaying our rich history every chance we get helps to educate people on who we are and instills a sense of pride in our communities. Getting toward the end of my time, I wanted to thank the Chamber for the chance this week of going to D.C. and visiting with our legislators to discuss a number of topics to include Third Army and the widening of Highway 92 North slated for the northern part of our county. I believe that these two projects are very important for the future business opportunities, as well as it helps to alleviate congestion on our roadways. And I will end with saying, so nudge everybody on this one, wake everybody up, but I will end with saying that we have some great employees up in Paulding. Us five, we sit up here and we get all the acknowledgement, but they're the ones actually doing all the work behind the scenes. So I want to thank all the employees and the department heads for making us look good, because if anything I've ever learned in life is to surround yourself with good and great folks. And when I came commissioner, I done just that. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Before I really start, I want to acknowledge a couple of people. One's really going to be upset with me, but I thought it would be nice to bring another Clemson fan to one of these luncheons. So I know there's one other Clemson fan out there. Can you raise your hand? There she is. A couple weeks ago, I asked another Clemson fan if she could come today. It's my wife. She's really upset now. We've got about a 5.5 hour drive that we're fixing to make to NAS Pensacola here. So I just wanted to acknowledge that she was here today. I kind of dragged her in. And she says, I don't really know what you're going to say. She always is very nervous when I speak publicly, but it's okay. I didn't say anything about your birthday today. Happy birthday. I also want to acknowledge Felicia Womack. She's done a great job for me in my office, and she is responsible for all these graphics that you see up here. She's done a great job. Thank you. My name is Frank Baker, and I'm your friend. I say that at the beginning and the end of every staff meeting, and I see our department heads are all shaking their heads. Why am I telling you that? Because your words are important. Your words are action. They mean something. And I'm here to finish this up and talk about something you've been hearing over and over and over again today, and that's Team Paulding. We really believe it. It's not a punchline. It's not a slogan. It's just not something that we say. It's something that we do. It's something that we mean. And it's really important to us. You know, we learn from a very early age about being in a team. You know, those of us who remember growing up and playing baseball or being involved in softball, those of us who've had children and you've taken them to the ball fields, to the tennis courts, we're surrounded as children, we learn about the team concept. So it makes sense that we approach that as an adult and as a county as we move forward. You know, I hear people say, you know, there's no I in team. But I've had some people say, hey, there's an ME. Have y'all ever heard that? Well, somebody told me one time, they said, you know, there is an ME. And this happened to be a tennis player, a friend of mine. And he said, you know, it's about being solo. It's about me being myself on the tennis court. There's a really great tennis player, and I'm going to get a smile from Ann Lippman here. His name is Roger Federer. Those of you who have ever followed any tennis have probably heard that name. He's probably one of the greatest tennis players in the history of tennis. He plays mainly singles. But he will tell you that there's a team that has made him the tennis player that he is today. There's the physio. There's the nutritionist. There's all the people that are behind the scenes that get him to do what he needs to do to excel, to be the greatest tennis player. That's what it's all about. So even when we think we're an individual, we're part of a team. So it's really easy for me to come up here and kind of finish this and talk to y'all about it, because everything you've heard so far from all our post commissioners and our chairman, all the activities we're doing, it's all part of a team. It is Team Paulding. I'll just give you one example. One of the things that I'm really excited about is the Crowville thing up in Commissioner Stover's post. We got that thing finished a couple of meetings ago, and we're going to have an unveiling of those signs here in a couple of weeks. But that seems like a real easy thing to do, but it really wasn't. There was a lot of research, and a lot of different departments were involved in making that happen. And you really don't think about it until you're actually in the process. So all these things that all of them talked about earlier have got a lot of different departments, divisions within departments, and multiple departments. And even the internal things that we do, we have several departments that are all working together. I see Tabitha sitting there, and the finance director, and everything we do, she's involved with everything all the departments do. And it goes on, Jimmy Renfro, everybody, with building maintenance. So it's all definitely a team concept. Would the department heads and all the employees stand up, please? If y'all could stand up for me, I would appreciate it. I see you, Lieutenant. If y'all could remain standing for just a minute. One of the things I wanted to say is that I'm always talking about, it's not about I, it's never about me, it's about we. Ladies and gentlemen, we are Team Paulding. Thank you. I'm about to turn it over to the chairman, and he is really baffled right now. You heard him call me Baker Street. That is my nickname, and it comes from the Jerry Rafferty song, Baker Street. Some of you who are old enough probably remember the song. It's a really, really great song. So he's been baffled because I always try to link a staff meeting. We had agenda prep this morning, and I had 2 musical references. I haven't had a musical reference yet. So I want to talk about John Fogerty. Do y'all know who John Fogerty is? He sings a song called Center Field. Right, Sheriff? Put me in, Coach. I'm ready to play today.
Okay, one of my favorite sayings is enjoy your achievements as well as your plans. Enjoy your achievements as well as your plans. I would be remiss as chairman if I didn't acknowledge that Deidre Holden and Secretary of State knows this. And most people that have been to a Board of Commissioners meeting know this, but Deidre Holden was selected as the president of the Georgia Association of Voter Registration and Election Officials. And we're very proud of her for getting that state position. Something else is that I talked with our IT director, Will Lyons, when I first came on board, and we talked about some of the things we want to do online. It's been accomplished. You can sit at 2 o'clock in the morning in front of your TV with your pajamas on, and you can put in your business application. That's the start to having a portal for that. There's going to be another portal they're working on for being able to get permits in the middle of the night. So, Will, nice accomplishment. Good job with your team. Lastly, it's already been mentioned a couple of times, but I also want to say it. Having that monument in Veterans Park, the Veterans Monument in Veterans Park, it just kind of goes together. But it wasn't just Scott, it was the DOT team, it was Jimmy Renfro's team. So that's a huge accomplishment. And we know we'd be here all afternoon if we talked about all of them, but those are some that just stand out to me. We started out the meeting talking about D-Day, and this happens to be a day where we recognize that freedom isn't free. My wife is here today. I couldn't do anything without her. And her dad was in the Normandy landing, and he came home, otherwise I wouldn't be married to her. So I got one thing to give away, and then I'll turn it over to, y'all seen these snazzy Explore, Unwind, Thrive shirts? Well, I thought I had lost mine, so Angela ordered me another one. But then I found it. Y'all ever done that? So I've got one to give away. Raise your hand if you know the ratio of property tax and commercial industrial. This one won't fit you, David. What is it, Vicki? Thank you for letting us be a part of your Chamber of Commerce luncheon year. It's been great.